Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the end special of podcast season 2.
Yes.
Season 2. Yeah, end of season 2 completely. Our podcast special. As always, I'm John, Sean, or Yucca, depends on what you're asking.
I'm Chris.
And this is your voice, your nation, the blue collar workers. Today we are talking about our experience at McDonald's. Me and Chris. Chris did much longer than I did. I did 3 years there. I think, Chris, you did 10, didn't you?
18.
18. Jesus, bloody wept.
Right. Just before we carry on, I thought this Christmas jumper was rather apt for the Mackies.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
As always, the weather isn't so cold that John's not wearing a t-shirt.
He's just a lunatic.
I'm me. Let us be very, very clear about that. But yeah, no, it's looks to be like we have been long to thought about getting over onto this. And the two of us have really kind of given it some serious thought. I started Mackey's at the end of my food career, relatively speaking. I basically hit rock bottom. I crashed out of 2 chefing jobs at that point, and I spoke to his boss. We won't mention her name. Lovely lady, probably one of my favourite managers in McDonald's next to this cunt. She was fantastic. She's like, John, you don't need any of that chefing experience. I just need you to flip burgers and slam down fucking chips and slam down nuggets and fillets. She goes, it's brain dead stuff. You will not need to be complicated on that. And I went, okay. So I came on. I knew I was only going to be there part-time. Within my first 3-4 weeks, I met this cunt. And we kind of just went to the point where he says, I need someone for tonight. And our boss said, I don't have anybody. I said, what about the new guy? He's crazy. I said, how many nights do you want? He said, oh, don't ask me that. And that was my first memory of Chris, was don't ask me how many nights I want you to work. And I said to our joint boss, I said, is he the night manager? She goes, no, but technically yes. Because she was famous. No, he's not. We don't have night managers, but technically yes.
I was the closing manager.
As in, he was the one dumped it. They don't have an official position. It was left to him.
Because I got shit done. So.
Yeah. And that's how I came onto the McDonald's closes. From day one, I liked the crew, the people. They were amazing to work with. The low-level working people were the kids. They churned in and out. You know, they were going over. Like we'd see them every kind of summer, wouldn't we?
Some of the uni lot.
Yeah, they would slide in and out all the time. But then there was the regulars, and there was me and Chris. And it would be a bleary-eyed, like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, that I'd just stumble through the door off my push bike. And he'd be like, oh, he's here. And I think one of the things that Chris appreciated about me was, Lockwood gear. And because they're 0-hour contracts, I could get a phone call at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You doing anything? Well, you know the answer to that. Right then, you got a shift then.
It's only when I've done that to everyone else. Would you like to do a shift? Is you're getting your ass in.
Because he needed someone to be there reliably. To turn up every single shift.
Yes, unfortunately, there was a lot of phoning in. Oh, I'm ill. Plus and pros and cons of a 0-hour contract. Well, for the staff anyway, I was management. I wasn't the 0-hour contract.
No. Well, to be fair, I was, but I never worked anything less than 36 hours a week. Without a shadow of doubt.
I just up at one point, I was a scheduling manager, so the ones that actually were reliable, I actually give the hours to.
Well, this is the point. I never had a week where I wasn't doing at least 36 hours. Over Christmas, and my first Christmas, I wasn't doing anything short of 45, but then Chris had nobody reliable. like no one wants to ride in when it's dark and ride home when it's dark. I mean,
as I said, you're in that case.
But we are not just here to show our experience about what happened with McDonald's. We're here to discuss some of the issues. Sexual harassment, how prolific was it when you started?
my entire experience there, there was always an undertone of sexual exploitation. Well, not exploitation, sexual behaviour, shall I say? Because of the fact, obviously, people develop relationships and all that stuff. It was always a very, it's called a solid undertone, because of the fact it was always there, but wasn't always discussed. But unless something big happened, then it was discussed. Apart from that, it was just an undertone which everybody knew about, and they didn't really press on it too much because they didn't want to cause chaos.
Would you say sexual harassment was prolific in McDonald's?
I've only ever dealt with 2 circumstances in my entire career, and it was pretty cut and dry, shut and done. There's no real things.
You see, from my own experience, I dealt with a lot of crying teenage girls, and I'm completely fucking honest about this.
I'm going to tell you, you dealt with the drama.
Yeah, there.
Because they knew if they come to me, I had to deal with it properly.
It was. They'd be crying on my shoulder. They were like, "Why are you dating manager so and so when you know he's a fucking dog?" This is another manager, manager A. Manager A was slept with every single young girl that came through that door, pretty much. 2 of the managers he'd slept with. One of the trainee managers he'd slept with. The guy was an absolute fucking animal. And the problem being is, once he'd had his way and moved on, he didn't even speak to the girls. He didn't speak to them, didn't schedule them, didn't show them any kind of emotional confidence. And then the garbage, the collapse of the workplace, because these crying girls, they have to be fucking nurtured back into the work environment, reminded that manager A was just an asshole. It was a mess. It was a fucking mess. And I always found that, not Chris, because Chris would say something, and then our actual boss would try to say something, but above that was dead weight. And that was because we were in a franchise. And there was no ceiling in franchise McDonald's. Do you understand what I'm saying? You could not get a response when it came towards sexual harassment, when it came towards bullying, discrimination, any of these problems. You go above the store manager, dead air. Just complete dead air.
No, they expected store managers to deal with it.
Yeah. And the problem is that some of these problems couldn't be solved by the store manager, because they were systemic at levels with the duty managers or the management assistants, or he said, she said, so you wouldn't get to the bottom of it, or the manager was too short-houred with the time. There has never been a systemic problem solving when it comes towards...
Oh, the amount of back area bloody conversation starts to pack it in. I'm not having to deal with this shit.
I'm fucking mental. And I mean, in the context of today, that there are over 700 workers with 45 restaurants having jointly legal action alleging harassment, discrimination, including sexual harassment, in the UK in the last 2 years.
In the last 2 years?
Yeah. Last 2 years. 2023 and 2022, I think it is. So in a 2 year period. It's
just a random thing, because it's obviously that's within the last 2 years. Could it be due to the latest generation coming up?
I don't know.
Being a bit, I'm sorry, but being a bit too sensitive.
When it comes to Mackey's, I don't think that's such a thing, because we saw some really.
You want to bet? I've seen some of the new employees at Mackey's.
No, I don't buy that, because they're willing to actually negotiate, to speak up about it. When me and you were working there, many of the girls just had to cry and come back and work.
Yeah, that's because we were built different.
I think the actual complaining system should be more robust, because of the systemic problems we have in Mackey's, Chris. Britain does it, and it's a franchise thing. It is a serious franchise. Mackey, as the main provider, has a legal obligation to the stores that they directly run. We need to stress that our experiences and what me and Chris know is purely from franchise base.
Well, I've done that with both ends, company and franchise.
Well,
there's a lot more leeway in franchise for you to get away with shit.
Yeah, completely.
I'm sorry, franchisees, but there are. You need to pull your weight in.
No. The central business needs to do more about it. There needs to be guidelines. There needs to be structures, and there needs to be accountability to the franchisor.
If I was a business owner, I'd take that to heart and actually turn around and go, no, I'm not having this in my workplace, but
That's the problem.
I'm a hard ass.
That's the problem, Chris. You've got to understand that much of what went on, the underscoring of this, was the inability for consequences for the franchisers. Because the franchisor could just zero out your contracts. Let's say young girl A, B, and C got together and made a systemic attempts to constantly contact the franchisers, various upper management about harassment at their store. The franchisor gets irritated enough, he just zeroes their contracts so they don't have any hours. And that was lawful. That is legal. And those threats were made during our generation.
The only time I've ever known any franchisee to threaten to zero a contract is if it was coming from a manager. Because everyone else was on 0 hour contracts anyway.
No. Everyone on 0 hour contract. When I mean 0, I mean you don't get any hours that week.
Oh, you mean don't schedule them?
Yeah, no. Zeroing their hours.
I see. That's where me and franchisees used to rub. If I was a scheduling manager, I'd get people hours. I didn't give a shit. I was like, I'm managing the store.
If you've got 3 difficult staff members, instead of firing them, what they would do is they would give them 0 hours this week, 0 hours the week after. They would fuck with their money because they're making complaints. And this is a normal systemic problem in franchises. I don't know if it is now, because me and Chris have been out of the business, at least 10 years now. What was it? No, it was 10 years ago.
Between 8 to 10 years.
Yeah, 8 to 10 years ago. So we're talking from an experience point of view. This is more than a decade. So please bear in mind, anybody who's going to critique what me and Chris are saying here on this special.
We haven't been in that field in a while.
We haven't been in the field in a while. So we want to be very clear. We're saying from our experience and then to what we've seen as the write-up recently about McDonald's harassment scandals. But during
could there be servicing because the fact it's now easier for people to report it?
That's
I remember back in the day,
it
was rather hard to.
That's what I said. The ceiling. You couldn't get past the area manager.
Rather hard to do it externally because the knowledge wasn't there. But now the knowledge is there, they're able to stick their foot in the door, which I encourage you to do. Trust me, the amount of shit I used to deal with.
And it's unreasonable for duty managers, who are basically only 2 steps above the fucking store members, to deal with constant harassment because of systemic problems.
I've had several times where I've had to speak to people quietly out the back in the office or whatnot.
How many incidences would you say you had reported to you during your 18 years during a 12-month period, a year period?
So
that weren't. I'm not talking about really serious, but could have led to serious if you hadn't stepped in.
Lost count.
Yeah, that's scary.
Lost count. And I told them to, and most of the time it was a case of, would this actually amount to anything if you tried to pursue it? And if they say no, I said they turn around to create that social distance, keep it as a workplace profession only.
Absolutely.
That's one thing I employ with all of you. If you are to go into the Mackey's field, and I know life happens, you end up falling for people you didn't expect and end up in relationships.
Some of the relationships we saw were a mess.
Shut your mouth. Make sure you have that clear boundary line, as I call it.
Someone really was into fugly.
I was calm when I turned around when you stepped in.
You know, that's one of them Fuad moments. You really do like fuck ugly, don't you? My boy has, I'll give him his due. He's had some absolutely stunning partners in his time. He's absolutely fucking gorgeous. He's also had some really fuck ugly partners as well. He doesn't do a small spectrum. He goes swing, 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 swing. A girl talks to him right in his putty in their hands. He really is. He's very much the lover, not the fighter.
Woman talks to me now, I'm like, what fucking red flag are you fucking showing?
Yeah, that's from the burn marks. And John telling you, I'm tired of picking you off the fucking floor. How many would you say managers and supervisors, or crew trainers as we call them, were directly involved in these instances?
Actually, not as many as you think.
Really?
It always seemed to.
Or is my experience a bad example of management to staff? Considering know who that manager
your
is.
experience is based around one manager, which was just being an asshole. But most of the time, it was very. They usually tend to be isolated around one person. It could have been male or female, either end. It was usually, as called, the one instigator, which, unless you knocked them on the head, would cause absolute chaos.
Yeah, completely. I mean, for me, I systemically, most of the managers in the store that we were in were brilliant. I'd be very, very clear about this. There was one bad manager that really couldn't keep his hands out of the teenage girls' knickers, and it drove me fucking crazy because I was Catholic back then. Jesus Christ, it's a long time ago. Na'udhu billah min shaitani regime. I was Catholic back then. That's how long ago it was. And his behaviour was beyond disgusting. Every other week, I was having a conversation with this one and one of his female colleagues, and then they would go and talk to him, and he would then say it's none of John's business. And then John would say something sly along the lines of, "I wonder how skin melts when a basket hits it as it's come out of the chip fryer." And of course, the manager is then immediately in the fucking the main manager's office, and I'm being called in. I said I was just
no. Let's get it right. You would make some comment which threatened violence. That manager would run away. Go to the store manager, then the store manager come to me, then I come to you and slap you around the head. Stop fucking doing shit.
And I said I was giving a theory.
Stick the theories up your ass and don't speak them out loud.
The problem being is the systemic value of the problems that we had in McDonald's wasn't the work, wasn't even the pay, or how the staff were treated each other on a day-to-day basis. It was the lack of safety and security that led towards always having a knife-edge cultural kind of implication.
No, the knife edge only come when one person decided to cause chaos.
Yeah.
To be honest, it wasn't as much as what you detail. You dealt more with the aftermath.
The problem being is I was always picking up the fucking pieces, Chris, and it can get on my nerves, and it did. And I've got memories of broken fucking teenage girls sobbing in the fucking crew room regularly.
You do know most of those teenage girls which come to you sobbing, then come and actually have a conversation with me, and I'm the one that actually turn around and clap, encourage them just to keep going and...
Yeah, no, of course. But I just think that they shouldn't have got...
As I call it, here was the emotion overload. I was the one which turned around and was like, let's get back on track here. Is it actually going to actually do anything if you turn around and actually...
You see, that's what I think the problem was. You didn't know where to push it up, especially in a franchise. Because if you'd known, I'm certain that you'd have given them the number, you'd have given them the material. And that was the systemic problem going back 10 years ago. There was no move upwards. In regards now, there is, but it's not as prolifically put. And the franchises are still the worst constructible point about this.
If I thought there was something that could be added, I did refer them to the...
Oh, of course. No, we know that. As if it was serious enough. Yeah.
The female assistant which knew the channels to go and speak to her about. Which is the one that hired you.
But the reality is, I find it amusing that the policies and protective measures have only been recently updated in the 2019-2018 area to really deal with the harassment problems that McDonald's has had systemically You'd say those problems are probably when you started 18 years ago, yeah? No, well, I apologise. That'd be 28 years ago now. Well, you're getting old. Yeah, you're getting old, because that would have been 18 years into your work.
Going by my experience, it honestly depends on the store.
You think so?
No,
or franchiser to franchiser?
No, just the store in general, like the area of the store. Because out of all the stores I worked at, rather ironically, it's the ones that are based near a town centre are the ones that had the issues. And literally, I'm literally just thinking about now. So call all the ones that were, as I call, just on the outskirts of towns and everything else, in as I call, in suburbia. Yeah, didn't really have much of an issue. The ones that were more closer to a town centre or in a town centre, tend to have more of the issues.
Well, that's interesting. Why do you think that? You think it was because it was within walking distance, or the community was more toxic to each other than anything else?
I think it was more of the clubbing scene that was accessible, to be honest.
Right. So because there's such close proximity towards the toxic behaviour that goes on in clubs.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Because the more people that went out, that made friends within work, and then they all went out drinking, the more chaos
more toxic
came into work.
Yeah.
But the ones that, as I call, obviously most businesses, as I call, have like a Christmas do and summer dues and whatnot, depending on the business. They'd have that, as I call it, a bit of team building outside of work, but then it never really spilled over much as if in like chaos that fell back into the store. Naturally, you have your own little issues, like outside someone having fallen out or anything else. You just turn around and say, shut up and get on with it.
Yeah. But that was the thing. McDonald's had a look. I wouldn't say encourage, but it didn't prevent in-store relationships being built very, very quickly.
No. Let me get this straight. When it comes to in-store relationships, as long as the crew are able to keep themselves in control, this is just crew member to crew member.
Yeah.
I didn't really see an issue with it, because the fact that, I'm not gonna lie, if I was a schedule manager and I knew two people all dating, I'd rarely stick them on the same shift. Yeah, unless I absolutely needed to. And I explained that to both of them, and they were fine with that, because the fact that means, hang on, you're trying to make sure work and outside stay separate, but I also made sure there was some sort of time, so they had time outside of work together. I was considerate to a degree. The only ones they had issues with is when
the ones who constantly took the fucking piss out of you.
No. The only relationships they were concerned about was between management and staff,
which was prolific even then.
Not as bad as you thought. It was only because the experience of the one that you had. Actually, it's very rare.
And then there was the staff member. And...
Because most.
No. Female manageress and staff member. Staff member or whose brother worked there. That was common. Then we had you and your partner.
I was going to say.
Like I said, there's a systemic level of that going on. Yes, she was a crew trainer. I'm not saying that she wasn't.
No, I was going to say the only time you usually tend to find management dating staff was if they built up, as I call, a sort of semi-strong or really strong relationship in general anyway, and set clear boundaries with each other. Those are the only ones that you really tend to hear about. And it was a very simple meeting with the store manager. Yeah, we're keeping this, and this. There are obviously the odd exceptions, which
we had that in our store as well.
We had the odd exceptions as well, which are called chaos. But no, the one you're talking about, they was actually quite professional about it.
But the fact of the matter is, there were multiple of them. It wasn't as singular as you think. It's just that some were able to manage it better.
That was a rarity. There was two in one store. It's usually only ever one or none.
True, that is true. That is true. But what I'm trying to get at is, and we're trying very hard to avoid names, as you can probably guess, because we do not want to incriminate anybody. We're trying very, very hard to avoid that. But there were relationships inside the store that went up and down through the ladder on a no-end basis. And I think, and I know people won't necessarily like this, but I think an absolute, one of the ways that franchises can deal with this is threaten disciplinaries to managers involved in relationships with staff members that they're on the same shift with, because you know that's going to cause issues.
I've known people to be hired and already in a relationship.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I mean, you need to start curbing, in my opinion, the looseness that McDonald's operates on, and it does. As a fast food chain, it's probably the only one that I've seen, and I've worked in multiple, that actually allows relationships to be quite fluid.
Or could you need to tie in it? Maybe not. It's called direct. If you end up with this person, you're going to be slapped on the wrist instantaneously. It's more a case of, if you go down that route, you could implicate yourself very heavily, and we won't hold back. Because it was a case of, are you good? Yeah, that's fine, no problem then. There was no threat to anything afterwards, unless somebody kicked off.
You had to. I think McDonald's went at a completely different way from many of the other franchise businesses like KFC, like Burger King, like the big other franchises that operate here in the UK. They tended to be a lot more stricter about how managers interacted on a relationship and personal level. Wetherspoons, they're fucking strict about that too. Wetherspoon managers, you have to declare if you're in a relationship, and you might be moved store. So if you were involved with one of the barmaids, you would probably be shifted to another Wetherspoon.
My current one, if I got in a relationship with anyone from thing, I'm almost automatically moved.
That's what I'm trying to say, and that should be considered the norm, because it then minimalises drama. And I know it's a fag. It's something that bothers you because you're working in that environment and you've gotten close to someone.
They should do that in Mackey's. The moment you get into a relationship with a crew member, you're automatically moved. Because as most people, I think, well, for the franchisee owns only one store. They don't.
They don't.
If a franchisee comes into power, they own multiple.
They almost buy 5 to 6 stores at a go. McDonald's prefers them to have a kind of small chain.
Everything I know about franchisees, if they step into that field with Mackey's, they don't just buy one.
No.
They used to at the very beginning. Now it's the case, if you want to step in, you need a couple. So they're trying to prevent legal disputes, I think, regarding this sort of stuff. And with this lot coming in now, they'll probably enforce it. Well, hopefully they do.
One of the things that was mentioned to me was, do franchisor models, are they treated fairly by McDonald's as a megacorp based upon whether they're small, medium or large sized? And I found out that the larger franchises, the one that own anywhere between 10, 15, 20 stores, they're the ones that tend to get away with this shit more often. Your thoughts? I mean, you've been across multiple branches.
If you work in a company store, they are harsher at coming down with stuff. Franchisees usually the effort comes from the franchisee or the area manager, which they've hired, tends to come from that in R1 as well. He was questionable at best.
Area manager during my time, I don't know about your one before you, but during my 3 years was fucking useless. Absolutely was. I dislike that man so much that anybody who knows me from Mackey's, from my actual old crew, they know exactly who the man is. I thought he was the most incompetent manager I've ever met in my entire life.
He was scared of you.
I was no bones about it. He is, in my opinion, or he was, in my opinion, my old area manager of Mackey's, was probably a sexual predator.
He was scared of you and intimidated by me.
I was very likely going to hit that man at some point. He only needed to cross a couple of more positions from me when I was very Catholic, that I was going to lose my job and beat the living fucking hell out of him. That's how much of a predatorial behaviour he engaged in that made my skin crawl. Just the way he wielded his power, involving how. I mean, one of his infamous comments was a manageress who is an on-off really good female friend of mine, even today. We still stay semi in contact now. She was horrified by the way her area manager spoke about her and another female colleague's short skirt. And at the time, they were in their 20s and he was in his 50s. Do you know what I'm saying, Chris? I just wanted to hit that man so many times. Even in my early 30s, I just wanted to smack him straight up the side of his head. Job gone. The problem being is, his job when our area manager came in was to keep me on the other side of the bin, because he knows if I'd hit him once, it wouldn't be once, because I know the job's already gone at that point. It's everything is hitting him. The grill, the pans, the deck.
I don't know how many times I've literally come out the office after doing something. He's floating around. He goes to walk out the back, sees you, stands up. I literally have to walk in front of him before he actually walks through the kitchen.
And I know many people know, you've seen that meme online of where Kevin Hart says, look at me. No. Those looks I've had from him when involving our area manager. Look at me. No. It's literally his attitude.
The amount of times I used to walk in front of that area manager and dead eyeball using, fuck off.
It's just the man was one of those people. I think that's where the systemic behaviour in our store happened. It happened because an area manager was so relaxed about sexual promiscuity with young teenage girls and promises of, oh, you'll be a manager, you'll come back from uni, you'll do time. It fucking, I wanted to hit that man so much. But I genuinely do believe the franchisees are the considerable problem when it comes to the systemic problems in McDonald's. Because the main company has to be accountable for their managers, their stores and that lot, but they're not as accountable for their franchises.
Do you want what really used to piss me off? He used to throw that about. Yeah, if I turn around and go, I used to say to the management, I would like to make this lot crew trainers because they are hard workers and they know what they're doing. I used to get such backlash until I turned around and just done the work anyway, and then push them through myself, and then for the managers to go, okay, actually you were right.
One of the key problems with our store was you had to have a photogenic face.
Doesn't explain me.
Chris, I don't mean to be rude, all right? From a bloke to a bloke, but you have a very photogenic face. You come across as someone facially quite charismatic for a male. No, you do. I know you laugh. Everyone knows on a good day I look like a Rottweiler chewing on wasps.
That's your average day, isn't it?
No, that's my good day. That's my good day. So there is a certain level of photogenic. If you had the right face, like Manager A, he would have been the example of that. Blonde, blue-eyed, tall.
Pretty boy.
This is how he made, in my honest opinion, this is how he made an area manager. Not area, assistant manager. Because he knew how to smile, he was politely spoken to the upper bosses, and he was one hell of an arse-lick. An unbelievable arse-lick. And yet he was probably one of the most prolific sexual predators in the entire fucking industry, in my opinion, from what I knew from my time there. Horrific levels. Every other pretty girl who had a relationship problem in that place was because of him. Not all of them, every other.
Not every other. Key ones from within certain groups.
Just beyond the fucking joke.
You know, if you look at the ones that, I'm sorry, ladies, if you are watching, played around with, yeah, and then look at the group they're attached to.
Got a point there. You've got a confirmable point there. I mean, the harassment and bullying, I didn't see that much of it, to be quite honest. I don't think our store suffered so much from the harassment and bullying, and then there was like zero tolerance of racism. I will give our franchisee the joke. When I was close to a coloured colleague, and we'd be vile to each other. He'd make Irish slurs, I'd make coloured slurs. And the managers were like, John and the other colleague, you got to stop because this is, we're going to get rid. Like, they came down on us when we're two work colleagues literally bantering and giving horrific Irish. I'd make Irish slurs. He'd make Irish slurs to me. I'd make mixed race slurs to him. And I don't mean the N word. I almost never said that. That might actually raise his eyebrow, but what I'm saying is that there was.
If you said that word, I'd come slap you around the back of the head.
There was bullying wise. I don't think was such a massive problem. There was
no, because we're all hard asses on it.
I know. I think
none of us management team tolerated it for shit.
As I said, I don't, and harassment, as in someone systemically bullying and harassing someone, that didn't happen. But
if there was an inkling of it, we'd turn around and snipped it in the butt.
Yeah. But I think the sexual side was probably Al Mackey's biggest problem. I think that was a systemic problem during that time period. And I don't think it's improved. With what you've read, when we read that article, that podcast, what do you think it has improved? Or do you think that the methods that they're implementing is lackslide because they haven't implemented it to franchises?
They're reacting to a problem instead of putting in solutions. That's my thought on it. Reacting to a problem that's always been there and it's just been highlighted more of late because in fact people have found an actual legal way to report it without getting into too much trouble.
Would you say that there was much prevention about being unionised? And the union question was another one that we haven't.
Union?
Yeah.
Union, there was no such thing as a fucking union when we were there.
Well, there is now.
And that's the reason why it's more reported, because they have a way to report it without getting slapped about.
Yeah. The election. I didn't even know there wasn't a union. I thought there was when we were there.
We did not have a union.
Jesus. I had no idea because I haven't. I was too busy.
There's a way for what's it called, an employee forum to raise
that was
issues.
useless. That was useless. That employee forum was absolutely useless.
That was along the case of it was something which I swear the upper management looked at and just deleted. I know for a fact they deleted at least a couple. In fact, I saw it and was going to respond, come speak to management, and before I could do that, it fucking vanished. Which would fit right into Mr. Area Manager being a predator.
Oh no, he was. That was my fundamental approach towards him. The man was unquestionably predatorial. What's the time now on the clock?
41.
Well, let me stop because I want to put fucking. I forgot to put the fucking chocolate on.
That was you just moving that.
Right. I'm going to be worried there. But yeah, no, the area manager, he was completely unwilling to take any real actions to solve the systemic problems we had in our store, or any store to the matter. We had good managers who came in and spotted for us when we lost our female manageress. Our next permanent male manager was brilliant. He was fucking funny as hell. But he left the company as well. I was kind of surprised. You know, he stepped down from management entirely, went off trucking. Was it trucking he went to?
Oh yeah, I know which one you talk about it. Yeah, he went into lorry driving.
Fucking lorry driving of things to do. I guess the money couldn't have been massively different between lorry driving and running a store.
Got paid more lorry driving.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, fucking hell.
Forget lorry drivers actually pays actually quite well if you go into the right sector of it.
Yeah. But no, I fundamentally find that when looking at the industry of McDonald's from a franchisee's position, looks very, very different from looking at it from a kind of like a store owned by McDonald's itself. And again, much of mine and Chris's experiences are more than a decade old, so please take with that as we're speaking of it. But I don't personally feel, as I read what was happened recently, that much has improved since we were there. Yeah, some things have, absolutely. That we didn't have access to unions, there was no complaint systems. The systems have improved, but I wouldn't say it's vastly improved to the point where the situation of harassment.
I think they're just catching up with the modern way these days, because most places now have some sort of union.
Mm-hmm. How do you think McDonald's maintains consistent standards in protecting workers when franchisees operate independently? told you these common questions would be a bit more.
Protect. Interesting. I'm not quite sure how they do it now. Mostly it relied upon the managers within the store. When we worked there. Obviously when it comes to obviously like well-being and sickness and everything that falls in that line, obviously they have to follow what's it called, government guidelines for obviously sick notes and time off and all that stuff. There was fair dues when we were there. They upheld it quite decently. The only thing we made sure that was the paperwork trail was there to follow.
Yeah.
Because I remember consistently following up with a couple. Look, I need this paperwork. If you want to make sure you get paid, I need that paperwork. So that side, they're fine. They're actually quite good with. Regarding obviously when it comes to obviously the sexual nature within the workplace, it's more based upon how the attitude of how the managers dealt with it.
Yeah. Do you think there was a power imbalance between franchise shops and standard McDonald's shops?
Normal company stores had more weight behind their whack, because of the fact obviously that it's run by the big ass company.
Yeah.
Obviously, franchises still have that guidelines to follow, and obviously they use obviously the McDonald's HR department regarding more sensitive issues to make sure they got their paperwork correct, so they don't have any backlash, because that would affect the company's image as well. There was more wiggle room within a franchising.
Yeah, no, I always had this opinion that there was, because my brief end at McDonald's was when I went into corporate. I went into one of the corporate shops, and it was an eye opener. The manageress was incredibly professional. The standards were a hell of a lot more. There was an understanding of expectation. The disciplinaries, in my opinion, were far more swift and not from ones I experienced myself, but swift and what's the right word I'm looking for? Direct, yeah. Like there was no fucking around. In franchises, you'd say you're going to get a disciplinary, and then maybe next week you'd get it after you've done another 4 or 5 shifts.
The ones that were actually run by the corporation were far more effective at dealing with disciplinaries in the franchise.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I don't think that as otherwise.
I think that's because, in fact, with the corporate side, they were far more equipped to deal with the red tape than a franchisee was.
Do you think that 0-hour contracts create a power imbalance and vulnerability of abuse against employees at McDonald's, since they're systemically used? I've seen the examples of managers actually using them to 0 out people's hours.
Right. This is a double-edged knife.
Yeah.
Because of the fact, it depends on which angle you're coming at it from. If you're coming out from the corporation side, they do 0-hour contracts because of the fact of the type of people they tend to hire, the ones that flow in and out of education. The reason they do that is because then they don't get bombarded by legal documentation and stress.
And single mothers going in and out of maternity stuff.
Don't get bombarded with legal things. You have to make sure that you give this person so many hours a week when that other person could be halfway across the UK doing education in a different university or whatever. So that, I can see that side. But then the other side is it affected, obviously, the people out there long term, not having guaranteed hours. The ones that relied on a stable income. Because in fact, all they had to do, unfortunately, in some places, was set one foot out of line, fall into the bad books of the scheduling manager or the store manager, and immediately see reduction in hours.
Yeah. And that was a serious threat, and that was a threat that was used in
when
store.
I was the scheduling manager, the only time I reduced hours is when they become unreliable. So the ones that kept phoning in sick, didn't bring the paperwork to show for it and everything else, I then turn around, or usually the store manager or the assistant, say, look, we're reducing the hours to this because in fact you become unreliable. But we'd have that conversation. Because we was like, we'd give them, we'd give them a heads up. You've got reduced hours because you become unreliable. You want more hours, you've got to become more consistent. And so we're, I'm consistently getting sick, and we were like, well, take care of yourself then. You need to take care of yourself, otherwise, yet again, another double-edged blade.
You see, that's the things that are cute at me. I must have had probably 2 weeks worth of sick notes from you when we were at Mackey's for the 3 years I worked there. And yet, working relatively on my own in my new job, as someone who's remotely controlled, basically my bosses are in another city, nearly 100 miles away, because of the type of work I do. I haven't had a single sick day. It's crazy because I'm not being micromanaged. I'm healthier, I'm calmer, I know my job, my role, what's expected of me. I think the levels of micromanaging that went on, the constant fear of people phoning you up when you had so let's take one of the young ladies who had that chronic back problem when we were working there. She said one of the things she hated about her job was how consistent she was constantly called. The one with the kids with the back pain.
There were several.
Okay. I'm not going to use names, but she said, and she liked working there. That was the problem. She always, when she came to work, she always had a smile on her face.
But she wanted the customer relation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I know the one you're on about. Yeah.
And she said the fear of constant phone calls built an anxiety that then caused her more stress.
Phone calls of what? What's coming to work or?
Yeah. The work phone calls basically.
What, when people used to phone in sick?
Yeah.
I never used to phone people. I used to send out the text message for the group.
No, I'm not saying you.
Yeah.
That wasn't you. That wasn't a slide at you.
Yeah.
That was the reality of other people moaning down the phone at them. The other managers, specifically.
Honestly, if I was that desperate now,
the sisters were the ones that were notorious for that.
If I had to phone people, asking them to come in, most of them will probably turn. If they watch this, will agree. I was always case. If you're able to come in, even if it's just for a few hours, just to help out. And if they said no, I said okay, that's no problem. No problem.
Because you had me as backup, you cunt.
Well, partly no, because I always knew it was extra, so I never forced it upon them. I said it would be a great help, but it's completely up to you. I never actually forced anyone to do it.
Of course. But I think the phone conversational position put pressure on you, the duty managers, to get people through the door, even though when we were short staffed. I think that should have been the new mailing system that they have now, where they put hours up and then they ping message everybody. It's less stress because then they're not talking to an individual.
You didn't know we had that ping message system when we were working there, because I used it consistently.
No, but it wasn't constantly used by everyone else.
I used it all because I found it the best way, because then people that wanted the hours would then turn around and phone me back. But I also do realise sometimes it does depend on the manager actually that was on that needed help, is when they actually come in. Because I never had an issue with it.
No. Like I said, that system works if it's consistently used.
I always used it. I found it so
it's
handy.
Not you stop assuming I'm attacking you.
No, I'm just saying I used it. But I know what you're on about, because others, I'm not quite sure whether they knew about it or didn't.
Oh no, they knew about it. They just didn't want to fucking use it.
I didn't know if they knew it, because I always recommended to them, instead of going around
harassing, because that's how some of them operated.
Go around ringing multiple people and spending 3 hours in an office.
Oh, they loved that. Oh my god, some of them managers. Oh, I've got to ring to get us cover. Sat in the office.
The amount of times we used to try and go, use the system, send a group message. I could guarantee you the one that wants the hours will phone up. And they didn't like it because half the time the people that wanted hours is the ones they didn't want.
Yeah, but you never group messaged me. It would be a text message. Lockwood, I need hours. Yeah, all right, I'm coming.
you was different, because I knew I'd just phone you when you come in.
You're like, nah, get down here, I need work. Yeah, all right, fine. I can do with more money.
Yeah, but it was always the closing. It was never during the day.
Because I hated day shifts. Because that meant me coming in daylight, awake. Me awake before midday. Are you mad?
I had my others which I could turn around and actually come in and do during the midday shift. He was my go-to night emergency. Which is
like-
more often than I would like.
My worst day would be on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, closed. Monday off, Tuesday, open, motherfucker, what am I doing up at 6 a.m?
That weren't me.
Everyone laughs though, because I'd call our male manager, the one who replaced our female manager, the duty manager, and say, boss, they got me on the open. Nah, John, I got that sorted. I'll sort that. Chris, find someone to replace John. He's going on the nights to Tuesday night. I must have had 5 or 6 opens during the 3 years I was there. And I always looked misplaced. It's like, John, sit at window 1 and serve people. Just stay out of everyone's way.
No, you should send someone to take over from window 1. John, stock everything up. And it was rare that I was on the early no.
I was mad. Like have 3 closes, 1 day off, and then come in on the morning. Like, are you mad? No, I'm shifting.
24-hour difference. They're able to do that.
Oh, I know. It was lawful. It would just never happen because I'd ring up the manager during the daytime on the Monday, like, nah, boss, this ain't happening. I'm not coming in for 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. You better shift me hours that you want me to come in. And he did. He's like, yeah, because he'd find one of the young girls. Oh, I don't want to do closes. You want to swap with Lockwood? Yeah, yes. It was so easy for me to get back on the nights. That was the thing.
Most people would actually turn around and do the early because the fact the day would be gone and it wouldn't be too much work.
Oh no, because getting out before 1 a.m. in the morning was a nightmare in our store. Our cleaner, I wanted to kill him sometimes.
You mean our front of house cleaner?
Front of house cleaner. They'd be like, Lockwood, grab the mop and bucket. He's still there. He hasn't even started the other side, and it's 12:30. And we finished the kitchen, the grills, everything in the kitchen's done.
I swear he was.
And the crew trainer was doing the crew trainer was doing the fucking the washing up, and that was it. We all piled out the front. He always had a dirty look on his face when we came out there.
I told him multiple times, we're out by 1. Oh, I don't know what I said. There's no choice.
No,
we're out by 1.
No, we're out by 1. Some of us are going to go home to get some sleep. Oh my God! I don't get me wrong. I love the time. I love the good times we had there. The bonding of our joint trauma.
Trauma bonding.
Trauma bonding. Walk in, and there's a look on your face of thunder. So I say, so how many are there of us tonight? Well, there's the front cleaner, you, me, and the crew trainer. I'm like, right, I'll be at window 1 then. Because the crew trainer would be serving the front counter while the manager was doing all the food.
Actually, that is true.
Cars flying past me. I think from my experience, I think the system works when it's not abused.
Yeah. From
the old system that we were part of. I think it worked if it wasn't abused. If it was abused, it was horrific. The new system, I don't think, goes far enough to protect against abuse. And I think the workplace trauma is still very much a problem in McDonald's franchises, from what I've been reading from it. And some of their traumas are worse than ours. That's the mad thing about it. And we had some bad ones. We had some bad ones. I just think that the Equality and Human Rights Commission hasn't come down enough on the corporate to fix the franchise. I don't think there's enough penalty towards it. Because remember, as from your previous statement, they want their money in their back pocket. Mm-hmm. As you said.
Yeah. Because obviously if you franchise, obviously you do have to pay corporate, the corporate side of it. Because in fact, obviously it's using their trademark. So obviously there's that side to it.
If you were responsible for implementing the Human Rights Acts across franchises, how would you do it, Chris?
Put it in the contract.
So you put it in the franchise contract that it'd be required?
Mm-hmm. That's the only way. I reckon that's the only way it'll happen.
Basically make the franchisor legally responsible for it?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I'm not quite sure. I think it is already in the contract. I just think they need to make it.
No, they need to make it implementable. As in, basically, they need to know that if they fuck
Yeah.
up, they will be responsible and they could lose their contracts, their assets.
I was literally going to say, put a bigger punch behind it if they go wrong.
Yeah.
Because it is, obviously, it is in the contract. People say it will, and it is. It's just not.
It's not enforced enough.
Prominent as it should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the prevention of sexual harassment in the actual workplace, specifically around McDonald's, has still got a long way to go. From the experiences that we've had to what we've seen online today and in previous episodes involving McDonald's general systemic failure, that the company, McDonald's UK, has systemically failed, in my opinion, to resolve issues that were in the company 10 years ago when me and Chris were working there to now. And I think that's the take home of what you were to see from this special. I fundamentally don't believe McDonald's has done enough as the national company. I believe that they should bring down their foot more on the franchises, even if it affects their money, to avoid the litigations that will come. Because at some point there is going to be a massive court case. You can see it down the road. Me and Chris have had this conversation before, that there is going to be one very savvy, smart young lady who is going to get clapped by this half-broken system, and she's going to drag McDonald's corporate and franchise into court. And it's going to be massive, it's going to be explosive, it's going to be damaging, and it is probably going to be a horrific wake-up call. And to avoid this, I think that the corporate needs to be harsher to the franchises when it comes towards dealing with bullying, harassment, and discrimination. I think that needs to be implemented on a far greater scale. Your final thoughts?
They definitely need to do something. I'm thinking more along this case of make it more prominent within the franchisee contract signing.
Make the consequences for the franchisee horrific if they fuck it up. Like, make them entirely responsible for the legal fees if it's taken to court.
And I would say put in a clause where if you develop a relationship with somebody, see over a case if you go opposite ends of the scale regarding shifting, and then making sure that they have similar days off, or they switch stores.
Yeah, I think that's a necessary position as well.
Regardless of positioning. Yeah. So
because relationships inside of store are can.
With the amount of people they hire, and usually the amount of people that tends to be within the store, within one store. Bear in mind, most people think, they don't have that many. And when we worked at Mackey's,
90 to 100 of us, wasn't there?
We hit 135 people in the store.
Yeah, because they're not there every day.
Yeah.
That's what you don't understand. You've got people with 6-hour shifts, people with 12-hour shifts, people with like 36 to 40-hour shifts.
They do hire people from one end of the spectrum right to the other. Ones that only work one day a week, one that work full time. They got it covered across. And that includes obviously young people to the older generation on every single step of scale of life. They've got it covered all. Obviously some stores will be more towards one side or the other, obviously depending on the store. Yeah. But they need to improve it.
They completely do. And I think that our take from what we've discussed here and our own experiences are that McDonald's needs to do more. Well, I don't think that they've done enough from when we were in the business to when we are now.
I really do think they need to take key factors from what other companies have done to minimalise.
And especially apply them to their franchises.
Minimalise, obviously, the damage effect it could cause into their own. So I really do reckon if you're in a relationship with somebody at your workplace, you switch stores, one of you changes stores.
Or changes direction of hours.
Or your shift patterns are completely different.
Yeah, because, I mean, otherwise you're inviting disaster.
Yeah, because then it takes you out of that, as I call, out of the danger zone and into a balanced state.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Because then you don't see people going, it's playing favouritism or this or
that.
Yeah,
no, because those accusations go on all the fucking time. And they weren't. That was the thing, they weren't. But it was a normal thing in Mackey's during our time period.
And for the ones I think, if you're a manager and you do scheduling and you're involved with a staff member, does that mean you get that favouritism happens there? when I was seeing someone at Mackey's and I was a scheduling manager, the schedule always got vetted by the store manager before it even got published.
Yeah.
So if you think, oh, there's no double check, there's always a double check. It's obviously, well, from every store manager that I've worked with, they always vetted the schedule before it got published. If I could, I was always like 3-4 weeks ahead of the schedule, had it prepped so I can then turn around and just do little adjustments and then it get vetted and then go out. But obviously each store's different.
I think one of the key factors is how labour intensive McDonald's is, and it's one of those industries where you have to have a very keen grasp of what your labour force is doing, where they're coming, where they're going, and who's involved with what. And bad chemistry can fuck up a store worse than anything else. Nothing can fuck up a store as bad as bad chemistry.
Yeah. Without balance, it's screwed.
Yeah, absolutely. But come to the end of our special and our personal experiences with McDonald's. Thank you very much for coming to this special. Thank you very much for being on season 2. We appreciate all 1,168 of you now. So 1,168.
Climbing slowly but surely.
Absolutely.
Obviously, this is the last one of the year. We'll be back in the new year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So obviously, we're going to go enjoy Christmas. Everybody celebrates now.
No, I'm working. I'm working. You're celebrating Christmas. I'm off. We'll do work.
I'm actually working Christmas Day.
I'm not.
It's only a small hour Christmas Day, so I'm not too bothered about it. But
as always, I'm John, Sean, or Yako. Depends on what you're asking.
I'm Chris. Hope you have a smashing day.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is your voice, your nation, and this is the end of season 2. Thank you for everyone who's joined us.